cell, so it's just.
I got my computer.
Yeah, I don't
Calling to order the regular school board meeting for CUSD 201 for June 17th, 2025. Can I get a roll call?
Leah Conover.
Here.
Carlos Avia.
Here.
Jessica Redonio.
Here.
Medina Hoover.
Here.
Kevin Marin.
Here.
Angela Steckity. Lauren Zakiri.
Here. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right? Like,
Sorry. I was watching a video.
Okie dokie, so first up, Ange is not healthy enough to be here tonight, so again, we're gonna pass this on to the next board meeting. We keep the oath of office on until Ange is healthy enough to come in because we can't add it, but we can always take it off, so we are tabling. Okay, motion to enter closed session to discuss personnel issues, student discipline, superintendent evaluation, and collective bargaining.
So moved. Second.
All in roll call?
That's roll call.
Roll call?
Dr. Hoover.
Yes.
Ms. Zakiri.
Yes.
Ms. Redonio.
Yes.
Mr. Avia.
Yes.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. We will be back out.
I'm like all in roll call.
I know.
You even put on their roll call. One day I'm gonna Session. We will move on to the approval of minutes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 13th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Education, the minutes of the closed session of the May 13th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved. Second.
Does that want a roll call?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any public comments tonight? Nope. Okay. And into the consent agenda. So, the board will entertaining a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number one, personnel recommendations, employment of licensed staff, Marina O'Malley, 4th, 5th grade math teacher, Nicole Santoro, K2 self-contained teacher, Daniel Jezinori, math teacher, Westmont Junior High School, Ethan Hunt, math teacher, Westmont Junior High School, Kathy Fisher, long-term sub, early childhood teacher, non-certified staff, Sarah Goodpaster, teaching assistant, long-term sub, Leslie Navarre, principal secretary, Westmont High School, and stipends for Dave Weisbrock, Westmont Junior High School wrestling coach, and John Clark, assistant football coach. Number two.
Resignations and retirements.
Oh, sorry.
You just said
My bad.
that. Yeah, just
Oh,
resignations.
and resignations and retirements. Okay. To approve the expenditure report for the month of June 2025 in the amount of, just passed by, sorry, $1,800,154.14 as presented. Number three, approving the expenditure report for, update, the month of May.
May regular.
Sorry, my computer is going real slow.
Yeah, it's August.
May 2025 regular payroll. Number four, the approval of school treasurer and renewal of the treasurer's bond. Number five, approval of resolution for the SACID governing board and alternate appointment resolution. And number six, for a student tour.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Securi?
Yes.
Mr. Donio?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Dr. Hoover?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, moving along into our discussion and information portion of the evening, our parent liaison update.
She's so nervous, be nice.
It's been a while.
So I am here to introduce Edith Leon. Edith Leon has done so many things behind the scenes, and it is such an honor for me to be here introducing her. She has a second grader, soon to be third grader at Manning in the dual language program. And when I first came here 2 years ago, I really saw a need for there to be an advocate for our families, someone that they can really lean on and trust. I started getting all the calls and all the texts, started giving out my personal cell, and quickly realized this is going to be tough, to do all this. And so in talking to Edith and, building that relationship, she already knew so many of our families and was already connected. And so she has done so much. She translates for families. She provides them support with even personal. She just found a job for a family because they were struggling. Our secretaries call upon her regularly to support with registration, with parent-teacher conferences, with so many things. So you're going to learn a little bit more about Edith and what she's been doing, and we're hoping to keep her on board for another year, as we've just seen the powerful impact she's had on our families. So thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today about what we have been doing to support our families. My role and impact as a parent liaison here at CUSD 201. As a parent liaison, my primary role is to serve as a bridge between families and schools, ensuring open communication, trust, and collaboration. I work to support parents in navigating the educational system, helping them stay engaged and informed so they can be active partners in their children's academic and social development. I provide assistance mainly in Spanish, but to other non-English languages as well, to help families feel comfortable and included, regardless of the language barriers. Whether I'm guiding a parent through registration, explaining school policies, helping connect them with community resources, or simply listening to their concerns, my goal is to empower families to advocate for their children and build stronger relationships with our schools. The difference I've made. In my time at CUSD 201, I've seen the power of connection transform lives. I've helped newly arrived families feel welcome and supported, ensuring their children have a smooth transition into the school system. I've supported teacher-family communication and worked one-on-one with families to overcome challenges ranging from academic concerns to housing and food insecurity. One of my proudest accomplishments is contributing to an increase in parent participation at school events and conferences. By building trust and showing families that their voice matters, I've helped create a more inclusive and responsive school culture. I believe every family deserves to feel heard, valued, and part of the school community. Through empathy, consistency, and advocacy, I've made a meaningful impact in helping CUSD 201 become a place where all families can thrive. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you so much, because it's a role that is so needed, and just something that parents have that they can find trust in. So I thank you for your time and all the efforts you put through. And then one thing I want to make available is that you have an out too, and I want it to be us. If there that you find that is lacking, that you're trying to answer for a family, or you feel like we don't have a great response or answer to finding solutions, that we be that place. And that my question to you is basically to come with us is to let us know what you need from us as a school board to help facilitate all that you're doing, and so that you have that. I don't want you to take all of that in, that we should be fulfilling that. So as you're doing more in this role and you're keeping a list, just slide that list to us from time to time, that we need this from you, board, and that kind of thing. We get it all the time, so.
Thank you so
Get
much.
to us.
Yes. You'll be hearing from me.
Okay, good.
If I need it.
We need
but
it. Give it
thank
to
you,
us.
thank you.
I just want to add that I don't know, I've been on the board 4 years or something like that now, and this is the first time that I've got an update from this role, and I want to thank Edith and you both for elevating the role to something more powerful than it was before, and present. So, and I agree with you, Adina, that whatever you need, you'll probably speak through others, but speak through others to us and let us know what we can do to help you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
I just have to say briefly, a beautiful presentation, by the way, but there's so many lives that you have helped to make better with your presence. And it's hard to capture that, and even though you did a beautiful job with your presentation, but the people who sometimes are facing the greatest challenges, I can't even, coming to a new country, a new school, having to make those adjustments, and having someone who is there with their heart and who it will be their advocate. I know a couple of the families where you've really changed their lives. It's hard to quantify that, and capture that, but it is exactly a powerful thing that you've done for our community and for the families.
And I think a couple more things though. So she also helps to alleviate the stress from the school secretaries. You have a new family who doesn't speak the language. You have to use a Google Translate. You have to take the time, and you don't want to rush the process. And so I think it's helped in that sense too. Like, okay, let's come off to the side and let me explain everything to you. Let's use the device so that we can do that. I think it's, I think that's important. She also does a lot of things like behind the scenes. Like they're texting her at night, in the morning. Oh my God, our conference is today. She's like figuring out conferences day of. We have a WhatsApp. We're part of a WhatsApp group with a lot of our families who don't, speak the language. We're constantly posting on that. Like whatever we post on Facebook, we post there. She's like saying, leaving messages, finding things for them to do over the summer. So just so much. Her impact is so powerful, and I'm so grateful that you gave her the opportunity to showcase that tonight. So
Registered some kids today too. Open registration.
Oh, yes, reminder.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you. Moving along, Carla, are you doing a quality review?
Yes. Pull this up. And while I pull this up, Adit really has been incredible. So she was even being very humble in what she said. She has been a game changer for us and our families. So it really is awesome. So I'm just reporting on our end of the year review on our data. Just keep in mind that everything is preliminary right now, just the same as we reported this time last year. So none of it's official. So it's preliminary. Chronic absenteeism has been decreasing substantially over the last couple of years. So it's been really an amazing celebration. Our teams, so Sam Sinovich led the team at Miller. It's a whole team effort. Every single person in the district is involved in this. But the leaders of the attendance team at Miller are Sam. At Manning was Jada. The junior high was Mike Lipinski, and the high school Adam Kordolewski for the past 2 years. Yeah. So not all outplay students are reflected in the 24-25 data just yet. The junior high and high school, I know that it's actually pretty close. I think they did calculate outplace data or outplace students in there, but we're sitting right around 5-6% of students chronically absent. And just 2 years ago at Miller, there were 25%, 19% at Manning, 20% at the junior high, 16% at the high school. So we feel very proud of that.
Before we leave that, I just want to say, in DuPage, the average is, depending on the school, 15, 18, 20%. The state average is 26. This is incredible data.
It really is. Yeah. And we don't know what the 24-25 data are, but I would imagine it would be around the same. Access is a huge celebration. This is really small, but Edith is incredible too. So Adit is incredible, Edith's incredible too. So she really led this initiative this year to really make sure that all of our, all students are our students. So that was the big goal this year, is that we know that every student in our district, they're all of our students. And she did an amazing job of building the capacity of all of the teachers and staff members in our district on what access testing is, what does EL language acquisition look like. It was absolutely incredible. So you can see we get a percentage of students who exit EL. Typically it takes about 5 years to exit the EL program, because that's just the length of time for language development. And you can see in 2023, for instance, the high school in the last 2 years have had 0% of students exit access, and then this year they hopped up to 22%. The junior high, similar, about 7%, 9% at 7% in 23, 9% in 24, and then 22% this past year. Miller is very typical that it's fewer students that exit because they're only in kindergarten, first grade. So usually you see your highest exit rate numbers at like Manning. And they had great numbers too at 21%. But the junior high and high school, that's really amazing that they had that percentage of students, just to put it into context for you.
This is a difference maker. This means kids are acquiring the language, exiting a program.
Yes.
And it's not typical. And obviously, we're showing tremendous improvement here. So, as Carla said, Edith, the entire team really did amazing work on this.
Yeah, and this is really only looking at the exit rate. If you dig into like student growth for every student, that's a much lengthier report, but our students are growing, which is what we want to see.
Can you just super high level, very layman's terms, explain to someone who has no idea what access is, what
Yes.
it means to exit?
Yeah, and
Access.
Edith's right behind me, so she can jump in at
Yeah,
any
he
point.
is.
Yeah, but
Very layman's terms, please.
yes. So it's really a test for language acquisition. So kids typically it takes 5 years to be proficient. So they have levels that you take an assessment in January, and every year they take this assessment in January, and they're tested on listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So they take 4 different parts of the assessment. Yep.
And who's entered into this program?
Anyone who registers so when they register for school and they see that they speak another language, is that correct, right? You want to say that, Edith?
Yeah, so anyone, so students coming in as kindergartners are screened and they're asked 2 questions. Is there another language spoken at home? And if they answer yes to one of those questions, then they're screened. And if they qualify for services, they remain in those services until they exit.
Okay.
So they need to get a 4.8 overall composite in order to exit. And quite frankly, if they don't exit when they're in Manning, it's, the grade level band increases, like the rigor increases at every grade level, and so it becomes more challenging.
You're
And
like
so-
a long-term EL at that point.
Yes. So
And-
the fact that we exited at the junior high and high school is a really big deal.
And can students enter at like 9th grade? Or is
If
it?
they're, if they're new to the country,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
If they're transferring from another state, there are times that we do have to re-screen. If they're new to our district, yes, that's possible.
Yeah, and another thing to note too is that even if people opt their kids out of EL services, they still have to take access.
Yes.
So if that survey, they filled out one of those 2 questions, yes, they're still taking this test, it's required.
Yes. And the access test is so different than any other test that they've ever taken. Like the speaking portion, you literally have to speak into a computer, which is very odd. And there is really no practice for it. So we actually had kids start to practice using a program that we adopted. And then talking to gen ed teachers about what access means and how they can support the kids throughout the year, not just when it's time for access. So like we noticed at Manning, our speaking scores skyrocketed because we're doing Kagan strategies. And so it's general education teachers helping us to help our students exit. So we're seeing more of that.
Thanks, Edith.
This is going to show up on the Illinois school report card too.
It will,
It
yes.
was an area where we weren't like killing it, and we believe we will when that next
Yeah,
metric
they
comes
do a
up.
progress to proficiency score, PPP, on the report card. Student behavior is a big celebration too. I know that isn't necessarily part of our goal structure, but it's worth reporting out on because year after year, we've seen a decrease in major behaviors, which is amazing. So Miller, Sam has done a wonderful job of really building wide expectations, and she's done a really wonderful job. So she has these committees who work on student behavior and school culture, and this has been a big initiative for them. So they give Mustang tickets for kids who follow the rules and expectations, and they gave out over 6,000 Mustang tickets this year for kids who are safe, respectful, and responsible. And then they had celebrations that were aligned to that. So they had some glow parties, dance parties. They got to silly string Sam, water balloons, bubbles, so really fun stuff. And that really just sets the stage for them moving forward. So at Manning, Jada gave us some information the last couple months of school compared to previous school years that the number of discipline incidents has dropped a little bit or stayed the same, and at March and April, 5% and 7% is really good. So in February, it dropped. And then the junior high, in the high school, they reported out on their out-of-school suspensions. So if you see in 22, 23 at the junior high, they had 24 out-of-school suspensions to this past year, 10. And then the high school went from 37 in 22, 23 to 16 this past year. So that's something that's continuing to decrease.
But you have to put it in context from about, this is old data, but 2001 to 2011, it would average 120 suspensions a year.
That's an
Now, there was
that's more
slightly
than-
higher enrollment, to be fair, but not
Still.
proportionally speaking.
South School, I believe we reported out on this, but we don't want to forget about South because they're doing cool things there too. But they received the gold status designation. You can see the little circle there. That gold's the highest you can get, and that's our pre-K program. And then Miller does not have state data to report out on, but we have our iReady test to report out on. That's where we set our big goals. And you can see the green is this school year. So in kindergarten, the top thing is growth. So those are the percentage of kids who met their growth goals. 50% is average. So when you're looking at iReady data, 50% of students meeting their growth goals is average. We have 78% and 75% in ELA. And then in math, we have 84% and 80%. So if you think that 50 is average, that's what our Miller students are doing. And that's a testament to the amazing work that's been done there this year as well. And then you can just compare it to last year. And last year was better than the year before that. So every year we're getting better. And then if we just look at proficiency, we're looking really great in proficiency as well. This is the percentage of kids who are on grade level leaving. In ELA is on the left side and math is on the right side. In kindergarten and first grade.
So to clarify, like kindergarten, ELA, so 95%
Yes.
of the kindergarten class is at grade level.
Yeah, so iReady does a couple bands. So they have mid above grade level and then early on.
Yeah.
So that 74% is the kids who are mid above. They are like definitely on grade level. Early on, they're almost there.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a great question. So Manning, when you look at the next slides, so I'll do second grade first, and then second grade, they don't have a state assessment either. So this is what second grade looks like. That top is growth. So this past year for ELA, 85% of our kids met their growth goal in ELA, and 72% met their growth goal in math, which is wonderful if 50% is average. So that's pretty awesome. Proficiency is at the bottom, so 63% in ELA, 62 in math. And then if you bring in that early on, we're in the 80s. Okay, so now we're going to get to the IAR data. So a couple things to note when I talk about IAR. We calculate, so the state is going to change the cut scores. So what they're going to do, what they notice when they look at our cut scores to be, say that our kids are on level. Illinois is some of the highest cut scores in the country. So our bar is a lot higher than other states. So what they've come to find out is that the whole purpose of the cut scores is to say you're on grade level, to say you're college and career ready at a certain point. So what they've noticed is that a lot of our kids, we've told them they're not college and career ready, yet they go to college and careers, and it turns out they're very ready. So our cut scores have been too high, so they're trying to make them on level with the rest of the country so that ours are not the highest cut scores, and we're not telling kids that they're not ready for college and careers when really they are. So we calculated our data for 2025 from 3rd through 8th grade using last year's cut scores because the new cut scores are not out yet. So what I'm reporting here will actually be higher when the new cut scores come out, but I don't know what the cut scores are going to be, so I didn't want to put anything out there. So I just calculated it based off last year, which is actually helpful to see in this chart. You can see the growth because this is all based on the same cut scores, the whole chart.
It's a more rigorous standard. And I think there's going to be some inflation in proficiency because they're going to lower the bar. But
Yeah. So our scores
this is
will look
against the more
higher,
rigorous standard.
But so you can see the color coding matches the cohort of students. So you can see like this follows this follows the same students from year
Yeah.
to year. This is just the grade level from year to year. So you can follow the color down. And in most grade levels, we're continuing to grow our students. We have we definitely know where we need to focus. We would look at Manning. Math is going to be an area of focus. If we look at like our third graders to our fourth graders, that's definitely an area for us to focus. But everywhere else, we're seeing growth from year to year.
You got to put it in context, right? So ELA killed it. That's the summary.
Absolutely.
Those scores are so compared for about a few years ago. And historical data, this is outstanding. The math dipped slightly this past year, which is an area of concern. But if you put it in a context, they're still significantly higher than we were a few years ago. And these are good scores in math. We got to focus and do even better there. But
And when we talk about the IAR assessment, I personally appreciate the assessment because it's just assessing grade level standards. So it's different than when we get to like the ACT. IAR is really just addressing grade level standards, or assessing grade level standards. So in the questions, if you really dig in, they're high quality questions. So there's always flaws to a standardized assessment, but the test itself is, it's pretty solid and it matches with the standard. So when you get to the junior high, same exact thing. I used last year's cut scores, which actually is amazing for us. If you look at ELA, and you look at where we were a couple of years ago from 2021 to where we are now, if you look at the cohort of students, I mean, ELA is just knocking it out of the park. So that's something that we're extremely proud of.
that's more than I thought we could ever achieve
So
at
is
this.
math. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, math looks good.
what
too.
would you
Math
like?
is solid,
Didn't
so-
you say for someone who doesn't like live in the
Yeah.
junior high world yet? Like, what would you?
Junior high.
What's the number one contributing factor to
Yeah,
this?
junior
do you think?
high. So Amy Quattrone, Mike Lipinski. I mean, it's a full team effort. Kristen Ritchie, instrumental. So when I think about ELA, in the year 2024 is when they brought in a new resource that is incredibly high quality. And then from 2024 to 2025, they really started to take that resource and make it their own, and make it work to meet the needs of the students and fit what they needed. They put a really strong focus in writing because that is a lifelong skill that you need to have. So that's ELA. Their ELA team is a very high functioning team. So when they meet every Wednesday, they talk about their local assessment data and student by student, and they really look through and say, this particular student needs this, and then they create intervention plans for what they need to do to address the needs of their students. So that would be ELA. Math from 2024, 2025, so this past year, what happened this year is they did a couple things. They increased math minutes this year, but considerably, and then they adopted a curricular resource in 2025.
They doubled the math minutes.
They doubled
Yeah.
the math
Yes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
From when did they double? Was it for the 24 school year?
The 20,
After the
This school
23?
year is the first year that they doubled the math
24,
minutes.
25,
Okay.
yeah.
I
And-
should know.
Our math team is almost like a year behind our ELA team in terms
Right,
of
right.
the
Okay.
new implementation of resources.
Part of the gap too is the state averages in math are lower than the ELA averages. So there's going to be a discrepancy between literacy and math.
Yeah, when you look at
was
standards.
it also was the block scheduling new this year too? Trying to put the 2 periods back to back.
They did, they just elongated their period,
Yeah.
so they doubled it and they're back to back.
Yeah, if we didn't get results and increase in math, then we were doing something wrong. Because we doubled the minutes and added a curriculum.
Yeah.
And that's first year of implementation. But that's double where we were 2 years ago.
When you look at the difference too between ELA, to address what Jack said, when you look at ELA standards versus math standards, ELA standards, if you look at them from, say, kindergarten through 8th grade, they're very similar and they just slightly build on each other from year to year. But when you look at math standards, every year it's different. So they're assuming when you get to 6th grade, you know everything K through 5th grade. And then you're just moving on to new content immediately.
This is something that just came out.
It's a statewide thing that they're focusing on.
Another criteria is grade schools. They rank every school in the country, public school, on a scale of 1 to 10. The junior high moved from 4 to 9.
Yes.
And if you look at the subcategories and all the different ethnicities and low income, I pray that people would go to grade schools, Westmont Junior High, and dig into the data, because it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 out of 10. Every single category for improvement is a 10. And that's based on the 24 data, before we even got to the 25 data.
Yeah.
Because it's a year behind for grade schools.
Just something to celebrate. We're on our way. We're working to improve our PLC work. So Manning in the junior high this past year became promising practices, which is the step before becoming model PLC. And Miller will likely be promising practices hopefully by the beginning of next school year. So now when we look at the high school, it's different. So what I'm reporting out on for the high school is what we're anticipating the scores to be. So and it's a new assessment. So we went from SAT to ACT. So it's really hard to look at longitudinal data because it's comparing like apples to oranges. So it's really hard to look at that. We don't know what the rest of the state looks like. So everything we're reporting is anticipating. So we're anticipating these cut scores to be for this school year. We're hoping that these scores likely won't change much come August, but we will.
We're using the higher bar.
And
Cut scores.
so you said something like IAR addresses grade standards, but ACT addresses what kind of standards?
ACT, do you want to speak to ACT, what is assessed in ACT? It's more of, it's not saying, okay, your junior year, so we're going to assess you on 11th grade standards. It's kind of like a cumulative assessment. I don't know, Jack, if you want to add anything more about ACT?
In 60 seconds or less, what the ACT assesses?
Yeah.
Because you made
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
There's a difference there.
And when you look at ACT, it's graded on like a curve, and that's not IAR,
Armed, yeah.
so it's a very different
We
assessment.
can't hold it the same.
It's
That's what you're
basically,
saying.
it's assessing a set of standards called college and
Yes,
career
just kidding.
readiness standards. And basically, what it's assessing, depending on what your score is, it's predicting how successful you'll be in your freshman level, like history class or rhetoric class or things like that. So it is different. It's not grade level standards. It's more of a prediction of how.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that just in our mindset, don't hold it as the same. Like,
It's a
this is
it's
the
a great
IAR of, it's not an IAR of high school.
It's
This
a
is
different assessment, but it's still a good assessment. I mean,
Yeah.
we put a lot of value into it because it is super helpful for students. It's a really great.
And I've heard you also say that, in using ACT, because some people would criticize, oh, you're assessing my student for college and they're not going to college. And you've said a statement for that too. It's not just kind of a college assessment.
It's not just for college. It's good for all students. Yes.
And assessing what they've learned over.
I think I mentioned this before, but honestly, if you sit down and look at those standards, they're skills that will make you successful, and that's why they're not just
Every
college.
field.
It's college and career readiness. So any field you go into, it's very fundamental: reading, writing, math, comprehension.
So it's not one grade
communication.
level, basically,
Exactly.
but it's a,
Yes.
we should say college and career readiness.
College and career readiness assessment. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the state exam also.
Yeah.
We don't have
Yes.
to pick that. How responsible would it be if we said, well, we're not going to really take it seriously for a number of our students?
Every student benefits from
It does.
those.
Every
skills.
student benefits.
thank you.
If you become in the trades, you have to be able to read.
Yeah.
And I'll just say,
Communicate, read,
Exactly. Right. There's a writing component.
think critically, problem solve, all of it.
and to your point, that kind of third point, that we have all of those, but, because I will criticize standardized tests, I'm one of those. But
Do that too.
we have, like you said, we have a standard from our state to assess what our students know, and that's what it is. And we also have an obligation to promote that and
Yes.
You can't graduate unless you take the exam.
Yeah. Exactly. But what I was just saying, the difference between IAR and ACT is more of how it's like, IAR, it's just the grade level standard for that school year, and you meet or you don't meet. There's not like a bell curve to say that 50% of our kids are going to fail. It's just saying like, are they proficient or not?
Like
or
current
ACTs.
readiness versus future readiness.
Exactly.
And the other caveat is a high schooler doesn't take this every year like IAR.
Junior year. They take
this
a
is-
pre-ACT,
Right.
ninth grade, 10th grade, but the actual ACT is,
So this data is just for juniors.
yes. Yep. And then this is what we're anticipating. So we're thinking the cut score will be 22 in math, 23 in science, 20 in ELA, and that's what we're anticipating. So this could change come October, but we don't know yet. So
There's a lot of numbers up here, but this is the most important comparison number. When it says 25 US ranked percentile 73, what does that mean? 27% of kids nationally scored a 22 or higher. 27%. At our school, it was 58%. That's 30 percentage points above the national average. In science, if you look at that, it's 75. That means 25% of the kids nationally scored a 23 or higher. We had from 25 to 51. 30, even though it's 69, it's 31%. It's the 69th percentile. So 31% of kids nationally scored at this level. At our school, it was 40% higher.
yes. And what Jack's saying, that won't change. The actual number, the 58, 51, 71 we're anticipating. But what Jack said, that won't.
I mean, they just smoked it. I don't know how else to say it. And I do know some other high school principals, and I know their preliminary data, and we're not in competition with them, but they would kill for these scores.
Well, the test
Are
is
we not in
changing, too,
competition?
so that's gonna be another.
Say that again.
It'll be a little while until there's like consistent data.
I know. So I know you wanted to see longitudinal data, but the high school, it's really hard to give at this point. So that's
This is the first year they did AC. well,
first
you
year
know.
of ACT, in a long time rather, but
We had that with IAR also.
it's on a curve.
So that means longitudinal is almost,
It's hard.
it's hard.
It's hard to look at.
Do you know how just teachers felt overall?
How the
You know, their
teachers
first-
felt?
Our
Well, as like dealing with this, because I know it was a little like angst with
Yeah.
helping students because they also were
It's also the
so
first year.
well
Also
versed
new
in
to them.
SAT.
Yeah, I would say our teachers just took it and ran with it. They were so prepared and just ran with it. So Jack can speak to that too, but
Yeah, they're amazing at this. They had mastered the SAT.
Right.
They were experts at the SAT. All the nooks and crannies of that exam, they had down cold. The targets, they built their assessments around it, and then they didn't hesitate. As soon as the state moved to ACT, they transitioned,
All in.
because it is a different expectations. And they built all new assessments, and that took a lot of work for them to do. But this is why we get results that are way above our pay grade, if you will.
Would we ever potentially look at like the average ACT score as like a longitudinally, like, right? So in theory, if I'm looking at
yeah, we
math
could do that.
and 58% of our kids are proficient, which means that they scored 22 or better, then our average should be above 22, right? Probably 22 point like
Yes.
7 or so. Like it'd probably need a point in there. But could that?
Yeah, once the state, we could do something like that. Once the state puts out their new
Yeah.
cut scores and everything, I
Yeah.
can dig in and we can do something like that.
Because I think especially as it pertains to ACT, as something that many of us in the community experienced also as high schoolers, right? You're like, well, I got 21, I got 25, like, you know, that number is like so easier to connect with because it already
Yes.
lives in your brain, whereas percentile versus proficient is very,
Exactly.
it's really challenging to like kind of tweak those. That could be something that
Yes.
could be easy to understand.
Yeah, we can
To
definitely-
that point, this is
Yeah.
really, really important. The thing that the state has never tracked at the high school level that they're talking about starting to track is growth. Because they do, more emphasis is placed on growth than proficiency from 3 through 8.
Yes.
That's, high school
a much
level,
better
the state has never done that. They're talking about doing that. But for instance, if our teachers and the kids work hard and they move from a 16 to 21, that's tremendous growth in
Yeah.
learning. They would still be considered not proficient. So there has to be a way to factor in. Because a kid who moves from 16 to 21,
That's massive.
It's done
That's
massive, beautiful growth, but they're marked just not
Yeah, right,
proficient.
Yeah.
right.
Where they actually, some kids come in rolling in with the 21,
Right.
move to a 22,
Yeah.
they're marked proficient. But actually, the growth that was shown was more impressive for a kid who was not proficient.
Yeah.
And the state has never tracked that. They're starting to talk about it. We track it. It's still, this is such fresh data.
Yeah.
We need to show the growth overall, too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially if you're making the case that it's not just for,
It's not just
for everybody. That is
Right.
really important.
Exactly.
What do you attribute the great schools rating dropping to?
1 point, it's hard to say. I think there was a slight drop in math proficiency from the 23 to the 24. But I'm going to say it. We benchmark not against schools that look like us, but schools that are the best schools in the state.
Yeah.
So in my mind, 2 of the best schools in the state are Hinsdale Central and Stevenson High School. Their grade scores are 8, where we have a 9.
Yeah, 9 is still phenomenal. I was just
It
curious
is.
because these are like, these are
math
really impressive
Is it
scores,
the-
so that doesn't,
Great schools is like at least a year in arrears.
got it, okay.
So they won't know about, we won't see this data reflected in the score
So this time next year,
at least.
yeah.
And was it, was there, you can probably go back to, was it a small bump in that absenteeism? It's still low compared to the state, but is that?
No.
Chronic,
I think last year our growth was just a little bit less consistent. We had some like pops and some drop, like we had a couple of more extreme
Yeah.
numbers last year is much less consistent than the numbers.
I don't know if it was just a small, but
if we go back to chronic absenteeism, and we could put this chart together, but we don't, it's not really, the top schools in the state, their chronic absenteeism rate is like 15 to 25%. We could do that, we have the data.
no, just talking about that one point that if we.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I don't
we
know. But we don't have to.
I would imagine if I were to put money on it, it would be the math scores. There's a little drop.
For grade schools, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what
That's
else it
I
could
think
be.
it would be.
They don't look at chronic absenteeism for grade
Oh,
schools.
okay.
Yeah. And then for the school report card, they do, growth is a big component that Jack was saying for Miller and Manning. Growth is not out yet, so I can't report out on that. Otherwise, I would love to, because to me, that's like my favorite thing to look at.
No doubt.
The high school this year became an ambassador model PLC work. That's the highest level of a PLC, so that's incredible to celebrate.
There's only 6 in the United States.
Yeah.
Well,
This is something that you've all heard, but it's worth celebrating every single time. We're AP Platinum School.
I'll skip this from, in my superintendent's report, so I'll do it now. It's based on 30 years of research. It's based on the work that was done in Answers in the Toolbox, Pygmalion in the Classroom, Jay Matthews' work, that the more time you include kids and the more rigorous you make the curriculum, the more successful. AP is just a way of making that happen. We are the most inclusive school in Illinois with the highest success rate on an international exam, not our own belief system.
Oh, geez. And then this is we set our goals at the beginning of the year. This is so small. We met some of our goals. We didn't meet some of our goals. When we set our goals, we set them very lofty. So these are our own personal goals that we set. So we met our ELA proficiency goal for 3rd through 8th grade. We did not meet our proficiency goal for kindergarten through 2nd grade, but we set a goal of 77% of our kids being mid or above grade level, which is very lofty. So our kids grew from the previous year, but we didn't meet the goal per se. And then same with our typical growth goal. 50 is average. We set a goal of 75. We got 72%. So and that's kindergarten through 8th grade. Last year we were at 69%. We got 72 this year. So we grew from last year, but we didn't meet our goal that we set. ELA ACT, yes, we met that. The goal was 60. We had 71%. In math, we did not meet any of our goals, but we grew in every area. So our
To
goal.
put that in a context, I mean,
These are our goals we
Yeah,
set.
we internally shot for the stars and we ended up on the moon.
Exactly. That's
So
exactly what would happen.
that's what happened here because, yeah.
These were set by our teams, and they were really, this is what we're going to do at the beginning of the year, and they grew every single area, but, we just didn't meet the lofty goal. So our goal was 55 for math, we got 52 for 3rd through 8th grade. The growth goal was, mid-late above grade level was 70%. We got to 66% in kindergarten through 2nd grade. The growth goal in math was 75%. We got to 73%. Last year we were at 65%, so that's huge. And then the math ACT goal was 60%. We got to 58%.
You like basically made all of them. I mean,
That's
it's
what I
like a
think too,
couple
right?
percentage points.
You got A's, but not an A+.
Yes. So we set really lofty goals. Chronic absenteeism definitely met that. Our goal was 7.5 or less. So yeah,
The 5 essential scores are really strong.
they are, and we do know. So our goal was very strong. We're strong. So
We were strong in 4 categories and very strong, but the other thing the state does is you're either not organized or partially organized or well organized is the highest category, and our district is well organized. That's the highest category from 5 essentials.
yep. So we had a really successful year. To sum it up, super proud. It was a whole team effort. Everyone from administrators to teachers to support staff to our cafeteria staff. I mean, just the incredible work that they did this entire school year. To Adit, I mean, huge. Everyone played as a team, and we're really proud of what our team and our students and our families were included in all of that. So we're really excited for the growth that was made.
But
And
we're
then
not
Jack-
resting on our laurels. We are definitely striving to get even stronger and better. We're not, in many ways, it was a great year. In some ways, it was a good year, but we're attacking it and going even higher levels.
And then Jack, I don't know, you said you wanted to mention some of these slides or briefly run through them?
These are our non-negotiables for our team. I think this is the belief systems that drive the growth.
Yeah.
The beliefs we have to hold that all kids can and will learn at high levels, that we're not making excuses, we're the difference makers. We don't blame families, backgrounds, neighborhoods, the feeder school. Every minute we spent complaining is a minute we could have used to problem solve. These are the beliefs that we live by. See the best in people, focus on what you can do, celebrate, problem solve, listen, achieve our goals, use data in the meetings. This is Pygmalion in the classroom. This is 60 years of research that says include kids, don't exclude them. Have high expectation for them. It's based on an amazing research project where they had 2 groups of kids who were both at the average range in their trend data. They told it, and they replicated this many times, they told the teachers of the one group, these are the average kids. They lied to the other teachers and told them these are the honors kids, even though they had regular scores. Guess what happened? When you told the teachers that these were honors kids and you believed in them, that was the variable, the teacher's belief system. So our way of doing that is include kids in the most rigorous curriculum. Don't exclude them. Expect the highest from them. It impacts how they believe about themselves and then how they perform. That's one of our central focuses as a district. Compassion, teamwork, confidence, growth, thinking with the end in mind. SMART goals drive daily action, and every time we can celebrate genuine, positive, specific feedback, and we teach our kids to do that. We want to lead from every seat. It's not just us doing it, it's teaching the kids to love each other and appreciate each other and lift each other up.
And that's all that we have for this part of the board meeting. I tried to make it brief, but it wasn't brief, so I apologize.
It's the accumulation of everything we're trying to focus on.
We're really excited about it, so.
I just also want to just as sometimes we kind of separate things, but we're doing so much great work that can be included in everything we do. And one huge thing that when I started on a board that I spoke of and wanted to see and we had a retreat about it, was our equity audit and what we're doing for equity, but to keep that in mind as we
Yes.
grade ourselves and what we're doing, because we, with access, with looking at our disciplinary issues and things like that, that we discussed in it, that we remember to bring some of this data back that we asked for.
Yes.
That we're doing that great work. Even the work of teaching our kids and taking a kid individually and what they need and supplying them what they need and how they see their scores. And I know, like from the junior high, the kids know, like they talk about, I thought they were getting very mature when they talked about their stretch goals.
Yes.
And I'm trying to reach my stretch. So they are taking that in, but that's part of that equity work, that every kid, like
Yes.
you said, Jack, that every kid gets that, deserves that, and is supplied that support, so.
Yeah. I should have definitely been, mentioned that more explicitly for sure, but everything that we did this year was around equity. So like even Edith was talking about the engagement structures, that was put into place for equity. So that was the purpose of that. It benefits all of our students, but that was the goal. The beginning of every administrator meeting, we looked at our subgroup data. So that was at least twice a month on our administrator team. And then every building had their own action plans for subgroup data. And then everything we did in terms of curriculum and holding all of our students to high expectations, that was all with an equity lens. So, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Braun
you.
really is the person who brings us all together. Yeah. She leads us in this process in the quality review and keeps us on track. And it's something, unlike some goal setting, that we track on a daily basis, really, and follow through in, so.
Cool, moving right along. Administrator job title change, you want to talk about this, Jack?
Yes. The beautiful thing about this, in the succinct way of saying it, is there isn't any real cost to the district, but it is a way to recognize responsibility. And I think it also inspires people to higher levels of leadership. So when we look at our district, and part of this was prompted when our new CSBO previously held the title of assistant superintendent in his previous district. And then we also thought it would be important to recognize the work of Edith and Carla in that same vein. So to give them the recognition and the title and the responsibility of assistant superintendents.
It also kind of straightens and shrinks our admin, because our admin, which has been
We had a slight reduction this year. We didn't, Nadine is staying on, but in a limited capacity, less days, so we did not replace that administrative position.
it was a good time to kind of take a look at it and really see. Any questions?
No, it seems well-deserved.
Yeah, they're exceptional leaders. Not that our other leaders are not, but with the responsibilities they have, that's what we thought was a fair recognition.
Awesome. Moving on to monthly financials. There's a memo in here with financials reports. It's an admin. Do we normally put that in?
We can, I didn't know,
Do we normally put it in public?
we can, I didn't know if they were.
We can.
I did not talk to Dr. Gibson yet about it, but once I do.
This will,
I think the accounts have to be in public, yes?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can move it all to public.
Okay.
And starting July 1, even though he's done a lot of transition work, Ron O'Connor, our CSBO, will be obviously present and reporting out.
Questions? Cool. Self-workers compensation renewal. So again, there's a memo in here, talks about our workers' comp insurance, which we need to have. And the renewal amounts. Any questions?
So that, I guess the biggest thing to state is that there is an increase from previous. and they explained it. It's the district, what is MOD?
It's based on the historical claims, so we had a, not the 2024-25 school year, but the 2023-2024 school year, we had a number of workers' comp claims, and that's very likely where most of this is coming from, but Ron is gonna dig into it more when he's officially on.
I think he saw the increase and he was a little bit taken aback by it, but he hadn't seen the history because he wasn't here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is
I think
concerning.
last year it didn't go up, or it didn't go up
Not to this
significantly.
extent,
Yeah.
but like you identified, there were a few more claims than in years past.
This is why it's important.
Looking at our rating and losses,
Yeah.
so, and that's generally what happens with our liability insurance.
Yeah, insurance gets more expensive when it's paid out more, so slip, trips, falls, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but the way the world works, hits us later. Yep, any other questions? Okay, moving right along, the architect contract with Legat.
It's still being negotiated.
Still being negotiated. Okay, we're still working on it. Okay, number 7, the policy first reading.
So our committee met today just to discuss the revisions, and you guys have had them. And I guess what we've pretty much discussed, and jump in, Shannon, I hope you have, is that there are a number, actually not a huge amount of revisions that were done, but there are certain topics and categories that covered most of the revisions. And one of the first, the first one, or huge ones, was Title IX and revisions that were done for that. And so the biggest thing is that as a result of a ruling from a case was Eastern District, State of Tennessee versus Cardona, basically says that the changes made for 2024 was viewed as ineffective, or they've asked that that's been changed, so we are reverting back to the 2020 standards for Title IX. And so that it was suggested that we make those revisions known in our standards, so our protocols. So there are a number of those that are listed, so it kind of affects a number of policy numbers. So they are all listed with our press printout. So that was one category, and the other dealt with artificial intelligence and how we deal with that. And I know Nadine also looked at those things and make sure they're included. So after press issued this, she also took a look, but there are a number of things that were issued for us to look at and adopt. So you can take a look at that. It's a big, one of the big categories. Another, go ahead.
17255.
So there was a new one, and if you're looking at your list, it's 7.255, and it dealt with students who are, and parents or expected parents, and how we include policy that assures education and graduation. So I'm trying to sum it up pretty fast. If there's another way you want to
Students
say
who
it.
are parents or expecting parents in school that we continue, and then it's also included in the homebound tutoring, that we make sure they get the assistance they need to graduate.
So just as as press issue, they make it easier for us to read it and not go through the big packet, but for this one, I'll read it because it's new. The policy is created in response to 105 Illinois CS 5/26A, skip over that part, requiring districts to ensure that they have policies, procedures, and resources in place to ensure that Article 26A, so those students Shannon just described, students are provided with support services necessary to enable them to meet state educational standards and successfully attain a school diploma. So, and one of the, there are some other things that are in here. One of the things that we kind of said out loud is just like, oh, you know, you think that's the case, like, why wouldn't we? But you should have it in policy and have it written, so that's what they found. And so it wasn't explicitly stated before. It is now, so you can read more about that. With those, any other ones? And of course, there are other changes with, there are certain ones that we have to, that has to be reviewed every 5 years, and those are also in here. It's no changes, but it's required legally or set that it's reviewed every 5 years. So there is a list of some was due, and then they did the review of those, but they're also listed in our list. So, I don't know if there's any questions. Those are the main two categories of things that you'll see if you go through it.
And we approve these at the next meeting, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Second reading and approval? Yeah. Cool. Questions? Comments? Okay, board portal software update. Shannon?
Nadine and I have gone through all this, and she's the tech side, and I think, you know, going through it, if we stay with Diligent, it seems like a smoother process. We'd be responsible for taking care of all our old board meetings, how we post them to the public if we still want the public to see them. If we stay with Diligent, it's a little bit more in price, about $1,000, but we would still have access to all our old board meetings, which is what I think the community would want. If not, then we have to figure out how we're gonna make them available and all the documents. There's a way to store them in board book, but we'd still be responsible for getting it over there. So, in talking to her, we felt the difference in price is the work that would be done behind the scenes to make that happen. So, that contract's up, and then they'd be migrating it in September, and it's a couple months to do the migration over to what they're calling Diligent as their platform.
So it's a change no matter what.
It's a change no matter what. It's just a matter of if we pay more for it next year or switch to a whole new product and start over.
Cool.
So,
Discussion?
No, there's definitely something to be said for, you know, the time it would take to move, so.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's worthwhile just to stay with what we have.
I really appreciate you looking into alternatives, though, and thinking it through, and then, I mean, even if you end up staying where you are, at least you looked.
yeah. Yeah. Nadine's really good at, you know, the tech side of everything and asking all those thorough questions where I'm looking at it more surface. Yeah,
Yeah.
she took the deep dive, so. That's it.
Cool. Okay, moving into our action items for the night. The chair will entertain a motion to authorize and direct the treasurer to pay any additional bills received in June or July of 2025 that have been budgeted for in the current fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Dr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Securi?
Yes. Motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the adoption of the routine 2025-2026 business office resolutions as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion passes. Roll call? Sorry, roll call.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Dr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Securi?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Now motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the bargaining agreement between the Westmont Custodial and Maintenance Association and the Board of Education for Community Unit School District 201 for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Dr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Securi?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
If I could, it was the process to get to this contract was very positive and professional and done with respect, and I think both sides walked away feeling respected, and that isn't always the case. So I really appreciate our custodians for the hard work they do every single day and for the way they approach the process with us. Their union leadership was very professional and respectful. That's Scott Russo in the main. Just, we're very grateful for the work they do every day.
Awesome. Motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the Self workers' compensation renewal in the amount of $146,706 for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Conover?
Yes?
Dr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Securi?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes?
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the non-certified salary increases for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Conover?
Yes?
Dr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Securi?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes?
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Motion passes. Superintendent's report.
You heard a lot from me tonight, so we'll keep it.
Cool. Board reports.
I just, I went to the DuPage County ISB meeting 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, for the board. And there's a call for more participation from the districts. There are other districts that send 3, 4, sometimes entire school boards go to these meetings. They're thinking of reducing the number of meetings from 2 a year, these are general meetings, from 2 a year to 1 a year, in an attempt to get maybe fewer meetings but more attendance at the meetings. So I'm just leaving it on the table. The next one isn't until the fall. I will update this group again when we all get our school brains back on in August, September. But just a thought about maybe more representation from this district.
What, maybe a refresher on like,
What goes on?
why? What
Yeah,
goes on? Why should, yeah.
So I
Why
went to the
should
one
we-
in the spring. It
yeah.
was the first one I was able to attend. I didn't go to the one in the fall. And there is, it's like a very mini version of the joint annual conference, is the way I would describe it. So you're going to see a speaker, you're going to meet some people that are on other boards, you're going to have the opportunity to exchange ideas with people that work on other boards. Like one of the things that I don't know about you all and the work you do, but one of the things that I don't like is whenever you're in an organization that looks for answers inside the organization all the time, without going, how does another board do this? How does another group of people that do what we do this, instead of how have we always done it and how can we adapt? So it's a really good opportunity to have conversations like that as well. So, but the way I would call it is, by mini joint annual, I mean really mini. Like these take 2.5, 3 hours. They're not, Now, are they in the middle of the week? Yes, they are. Is this going to take away your evening? Yes, it is. So that's also true.
And I think they have, in which you are, I don't know if you are, they have meetings outside of that because for these mini meetings, I think the other role that they ask from different boards is what topics do you want discussed at that once annual meeting. So we don't, you don't have to be a part of that, but you also, if you want to
Indeed.
discuss with that board, you can start to get many things to get ideas of, because I think that spring one, was it AI that was their topic that they
No, that was
discussed?
the fall one.
Okay.
And they're thinking about doing it again because so much changes so fast with AI. But that is a good point, because very much one of the topics of the board meeting that I attended two weeks ago, I think, was coming up with topics for the fall and the spring.
Do they have to know by a certain date?
It's for the fall. It's coming up pretty soon because the speakers you have to get the speakers scheduled, right?
I mean, for other additional participation, do you have to?
Are you asking whether there's more time to give ideas? Is that what you're saying?
No, just more time to say, I will attend.
RSVP.
Oh,
Just
to
saying they
RSVP
want
for
more
the-
members' participation? Is there a time, like a cutoff of when you're going to say you'll attend?
You'll attend.
Is it in the fall?
I think they'll take people up until the day of.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know that for sure because they do have headcounts for food or whatever, but I think it's pretty close to the date. I don't remember. Maybe Shannon
I do not know anything.
I would tell
Just,
you
it gives
this.
us time. I was like, it won't.
That's a good question, and I'll answer the question next time I look at all the information. But I'm pretty sure you can register for that.
A month ahead, maybe.
You can register probably at least 2 months in advance, and you can register up to a week before, I think. I think.
So I would say, I don't know that the barrier for me is like twice a year or once a year. I think it's just, it just falls off. It just falls off, right? Like, if it were on, maybe if it's on like our school board calendar is like an optional, so it's something that like hits my Google Calendar when I'm planning, you know, a month out and 2 months out. I know that we get the emails about it and like.
No, I know.
I know, but
what
they
you're
just
saying.
kind of like.
But they all blend into one.
They
It's
all-
yeah, I
yes.
get it. I'm not even sure sometimes, and I'm on the board, I'm not even sure which is from the county, which is from the state. Like,
Yeah.
I have a hard time keeping up with emails, so.
Yeah, because like if it was on my, like, absolutely sounds interesting, and if it was like on my calendar, even as a optional event, but it was like physically on my calendar,
Yeah, I will-
much more likely.
I will pick up the glove on this one. I'll try to make sure that it's more present for all of us. And,
I'll help you.
yeah. Just, no, I just mean like, I'll remind you again in August, September, like when it really starts to get close, because I'll sign up for sure. And so I'll be like, hey, who's coming? So. all
And I
right.
know we were asked because our district is being highlighted a lot, so.
Yeah,
they would-
it's good. It really was. I was, like I said, I went to the one in the spring and I got something from it. So,
It's good.
Cool. Any other board reports? Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Nope. Okay, moving on to future meetings and events. Registration opened up today?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Online registration, wonderful. Our next CUSD 201 listening session is July 15th at 5:30 p.m.
Is it the 15th? I'm sorry.
It says July 15th
That's what I have.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I thought it
Yes.
was before the board meeting,
at Manning.
and the board meeting's at South. That's what the current calendar has.
Okay. Immediately followed by our CUSD 201 board meeting at 6:30 at South. Cool. Moving on to, we will not have another closed session. We don't have any reason to go in. Any communications, any current information? No. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, adjourning the,